we go.
Hey everybody, Eric Sill here with Carolina Autos. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's a nice warm day here in sunny Charlotte, North Carolina. And I just got through filming the driving review video with my Veloster N, so that's why you guys are here. But before I get started with the video, I would like to ask everybody who's watching, take a moment if you would to subscribe. I'm trying to get my channel monetized. That's the goal. That's always kind of been the goal of this channel. I've been kind of having a slow start, really getting it there. But now that I'm doing some pretty consistent uploads, I do have enough watch hours to actually get monetized. You need 4,000 watch hours over a 1-year period to get monetized, and I need 1,000 subscribers. So if you guys would do me a huge favor, even if you're not going to watch any more of my videos, hopefully you all will, but even if you're not, it would do me a tremendous favor for you guys to hit that subscribe button and get those subscribers up. I think I'm around 210 maybe right now. I'd like to get to 1,000 probably by the end of the year if possible. Also, one more note guys, I had to shoot this video twice because I tried to shoot it last night and there was just too much traffic around Charlotte. It was about 7 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening, and I got about halfway through the video and just realized there was just too much going on. But some of the footage from that video that I shot last night, I will kind of overlap into this video, especially some of the corners I was able to take last night and stuff, just to show more of the driving dynamics of the car. Good morning everybody, Eric Sill here, Carolina Autos. And today, as promised in my last review video, I would like to give a bit of a driving review on my 2019 Veloster N for everyone to see here. So we did the exterior and interior review last week, so I'm sure everybody has already seen most of that, and you guys have also seen that I've been doing some POV stuff, so everybody seems to like the POV video, so we'll do just a kind of driving review in POV. I'll also turn on the camera for the gauges. So we're down here in a business park in South Charlotte. Should be a pretty quiet little spot, hopefully not bug anybody. We'll do some launches to 60. Hopefully that's enough room to get to 60. I believe it is. And we'll do a bit of sound comparison and drive mode comparisons on the car. So this will be a warm start. Will not be a cold start. I had to drive down here, plus I went and got the car washed this morning. Hopefully you can tell. I can tell. I do need to clean the grill up a bit. This is one of the most difficult grills to keep clean. Alright, so getting in the Veloster N driving review. So first thing first, all of the Veloster N's, and I'm pretty sure all of the Veloster Turbos have a proximity key. So to start them, just push your foot in. I always make sure my car is in neutral before I start it. Handbrake is engaged. Manual handbrake, of course, and then hit the start button. So the Veloster N defaults to its normal mode when you first start it. We'll go through the different drive modes, but we'll keep it in normal mode at first. Normal mode, obviously, quiet exhaust. Then you have Hyundai's sport mode, the default sport mode, which will give you kind of a sporty sound, but no pops and bangs from the exhaust. Then we have N mode, so we'll hit the race button here. That's the full N mode from Hyundai. That's kind of everything to its maximum. And the exhaust sounds fantastic. And then we'll go over my in custom mode here. We'll hit the race button one more time, and you see in custom mode there. So that is the mode where you can kind of set up all the settings. We went through some of them in the last video. I'll go through them again in this video for you guys. But the first thing I want to do, let's put it back in, hit the drive mode button once, put it back in normal mode you see there. And I'm actually going to turn this camera on, and we'll go through some of the settings in the center console. Okay, so on the center console, the default screen here is our normal gauges, our oil temp, and there's a torque meter, so when you apply gas, it shows the torque. In N mode, you actually can build boost just in neutral because it does have a bit of an anti-lag system. So you see the boost there kicking up and getting ready. And we'll also do launch mode here in a bit, so you guys can see that as well. From there, you can hit down on the steering wheel, the selector button here says OK and up and down. So you go down, you've got a lap timer on this first screen. Down again, you've got a G meter, and down again and you're back to your home screen. You press the information button here for the next tab on the screen, and that is fuel economy. Go down and you've got all your trip information. Go down again, you've got more trip information, and then a digital speedometer if you would like that as well. So we'll go back up to, now I want to say something about the average fuel economy. I'm about half a tank right now, as you can see, and this tank has all been me doing videos and driving the car hard, so don't think that 16.2 miles a gallon means that's what you're going to get. Driving normally, I average more like 22 or 23 around town and about 28 or so on the highway, so don't be too concerned with that. Next screen, of course, is our tire pressure monitor. I just was redoing my tire pressures yesterday, so I still have to get them a little bit figured out. The front ones do get a little bit warmer than the back ones, of course, because they're the driven wheels. So driving the car hard, you will see the front tires get a little bit warmer than the back ones. And then is all of your user settings. For user settings, obviously, you know, you can change your light intervals and the sounds, the beeping the car makes, stuff like that. We're not going to go through necessarily all that. Nope, I hit the wrong button there. Excuse my serious. So you've got several different drive modes, or several different setting modes there that you can go through. So I usually keep my gauge cluster there, and what I will do is actually set on my N mode for all my performance information. So let's do a couple of launches in normal here. We'll see if this is going to work to 60. I think this is enough room. So we will set this, it says accelerate to start. So you press that and it's ready to go. So we've got it set to 60. You can go higher if you want to. And I think we're going to roll a little bit here. I hope that doesn't mess us up. So as we can see there, that's a 7.2 to 60. That is quite a bit uphill, that launch, and that's in normal mode. So we can see that wasn't as aggressive of a start as you would get with full launch control and everything like that. Plus it being uphill is really going to kill the times. This is more for a sound comparison than necessarily a 0 to 60 run comparison. We're actually starting to get quite a lot of traffic out here. I'm not sure. Oh, it looks like there might be something going on. So we may have to be a little bit more judicious about coming through here so quickly. Oh no, somebody is going to take our spot. they gave up. Okay, so now that we've got a run with the car in normal mode, let's switch over to the full N mode. Hopefully we can get launch control to work. It might not work since we're kind of sitting on a bit of a hill. Let's see here. And we didn't actually hit 60 there before I had to brake, but you can tell with the launch control active, that is a much more aggressive launch. And hopefully you guys can see on the camera that's focused on the gauges that that is a much more aggressive launch in N mode with launch control. Really lets you rev the car out, really lets you hit the rev limiter harder than in normal mode, and lets you carry that power a little bit stronger. You heard the tires really struggling for grip there, and that's actually what you want, because this car has such sticky tires on it. It tends to bog real hard off the line, especially if you're on a sticky surface. So you can't get like an excellent launch most of the time. So we'll find a spot and do some actual, you know, a nice flat spot to do some actual good 0 to 60 times before I actually edit this video together. So we're still in N mode. Let's go home on the home screen here and click our N mode so you guys can watch all the performance data. We can put on our G meter from here, but I'll just keep it at the home so you can see the turbo and the torque and the power. I think you can also see most of that on the main screen on the center console. We'll take it through some corners here. Now the tires are good and warmed up. So in the full N mode, the dampers are so stiff, you guys can probably tell here. The car is just absolutely glued to the road in the full N mode here. Very aggressive handling in the full N mode with the active dampers and all turned up to their maximum. We're going to turn on the AC here because it's actually quite warm outside today. So when in the full N mode, the active dampers are as stiff as they go. You guys saw there, hopefully, there's really not a lot of body roll with the dampers turned all the way up. The car is super stiff. It's actually too stiff to like drive around on the highway and stuff. You end up just kind of bouncing around. This is me demonstrating bouncing around in the seat, especially on the highway. You hit like bridges and joints in the concrete and stuff. It's just really unnecessarily rough. So what I do is hit this race button one more time, and I've got my in custom. So in custom, if we go into the menu here, once this goes away, you guys can see I can have my exhaust sound in Sport Plus and the engine response in Sport Plus, and keep my chassis suspension in normal, as you can see there, hopefully. So that lets me have a little bit of body roll and keep kind of a decent ride for the street. I've heard reviews say that the N mode, the in custom normal suspension is somehow different than the normal suspension. That is actually inaccurate. So if you're just in the regular Hyundai normal mode like this here, that is actually the exact same suspension stiffness that you get when you go into in custom and set the suspension to its normal setting in custom. It's the same stuff. I just like to keep it in custom because I do like the response, and that turns on my rev matching and in custom that I've gotten really accustomed to driving with. We're going to take you guys over to a different business park. Hopefully it's quiet. Today's a Sunday, so we'll see if we can get some better video and maybe some better 0 to 60 runs while over there. I really love the extra power on the highway just to get around trucks and traffic like I just did. Really comes in handy. So we'll flip over here to the full N mode, and hopefully you guys can tell immediately the car becomes a lot more bouncy. I don't know how good the anti-shaking is on the GoPro, but hopefully it comes across how much stiffer it really is in the full N mode versus just in custom, where it's like, I can breathe and just have a nice drive. The active dampers are actually one of my favorite things about this car. The power, of course, is great, but the handling and the ability to change these custom drive modes is just, it's actually a fantastic job from Hyundai doing that. So with the rev matching and in custom mode, you do have a rev match button here on the steering wheel. Hopefully you guys can see that. When you press the rev matching button when you're in custom mode or in mode, it's on by default. So it wants you to go into the home screen, the center console screen, and change the rev matching from there. Now if we hit the drive mode button and go back over to normal drive mode, now we can turn our rev matching on with this button off and on. I prefer to have it on, of course, because it really works well. I've never had it do anything. The only thing it does weird is sometimes it doesn't want to figure out first gear, and then when you go to let the clutch back out, it'll kind of lurch. It's not bad. The car figures it out pretty quickly that it's done something incorrect and stops revving the engine. But just that's the only time that the rev match feature really doesn't know what to do. If you're rolling really slow and put it in first gear, sometimes it gets confused. It'll rev, then it'll cut itself, then it'll rev again. But I've only had that happen a very few times. So like that time it worked perfectly. So in the regular driving mode, the normal driving mode, the car is actually very, very quiet, as you can tell. I'm messing around with my G meter here. In normal mode, and in mode, you can really just chuck this thing around. It makes no sense. So you push the car really hard and it will start to understeer a little bit, and then it kind of lets the back rotate around to catch itself. I really like the job that Hyundai did getting a nice balance to the car. There's really, at the very limit, yes, you will find some understeer, and you will actually also find some lift-off oversteer if you're not paying attention and being careful. If you're just stabbing at the brakes or turning in really, really hard into like some kind of decreasing radius corner, and off the gas, you will get a bit of lift-off oversteer. If you're pushing super, super hard, you will start to notice understeer, but that limit is way up there, guys. You really have to be acting pretty crazy to get it to misbehave and understeer anything that would be concerning to anyone. It definitely won't plow. It just kind of smoothly transitions nicely into some understeer at the limit. But getting to the limit on a normal road is actually kind of difficult to do. You guys have seen my videos of up in the mountains, and you can hear some tires squeal and stuff, but that's not really understeer, guys. That's just the tires kind of begging for mercy and finding grip. I haven't had this car just straight plow on yet. We'll be doing some autocrossing, maybe a track day or two coming up. I think that's when it might reveal its true nature absolutely at the limit. I don't like to drive beyond the limit, at least, of what I think is safe on the street, because obviously we don't want to injure anyone or myself. Different sound comparison, we did that, launch control and everything. We'll try to find a spot. Let's get the air conditioning off and the windows back down. So we'll try to find a spot to do a 0 to 60 run for you guys. I might cut some of this out of the video. I'm sure you guys don't really want to just watch me randomly driving around and talking. Oh, well, I know what we can do while we find a spot. So we can talk about the different steering modes. So in custom mode and in mode, there are different steering settings than from normal. So in normal mode, the steering is actually super, super light. Hopefully I can demonstrate that with just my fingertips here. I would not be able to steer the car with just my fingertips, not without a lot of difficulty in the full in mode. So the steering is super light. Now, going into in mode and in custom does not change your actual steering ratio that I can tell. If it does, it's only slight. But it changes the weight and how much feedback you get from the road. So going here from normal mode to the full in mode, which is the first press of the race button, as you can see, I'm putting in the same amount of lock to get the same amount of results. But the steering, it is much, much heavier. Like, I actually have to kind of use the ball of my thumb instead of just my fingertips to really get the wheel to react. And it makes it really nice. You feel like you're really getting more pushback from the car. You can kind of feel a little bit more what the car is doing, even though the steering is electric. Obviously, with hydraulic steering, it would be more direct and even feel better, but Hyundai's done a great job with steering. There's nothing, I cannot say anything bad about the steering on this car whatsoever. Then the in custom mode, I have my steering set to somewhere between normal and Sport Plus for my in custom. So it's kind of a good little middle ground, good weight, but still light enough to drive every day. Just driving around town in full in mode wouldn't really make much sense. The steering is just too heavy, the car is too stiff. But the in custom, that's my daily driving mode. Let's see if we can do a U-turn here and get past that first entrance, and maybe we can do a flat 0 to 60 run with launch control for you guys. I don't want to attract too much attention to ourselves. It's kind of funny, everybody looks at me like I'm some kind of alien. I guess I do look kind of ridiculous with this camera strapped to my head. Okay, so we'll get our performance timer set here. And this spot's much more flat than the last spot we were at, so we should be able to get a good 0 to 60 run in here if I don't get too much wheel spin. This car kind of either does one or the other. It either bogs or it just lights the tires up. I've never been able to get just like a perfect launch, it seems, using the launch control. So for launch control, full in mode, clutch down, first gear, mash the gas as hard as you can, basically, and slowly release the clutch. And there's a 6.1 to 60 there. So not too bad at all, considering the car is really well up to temperature, and it's about 90 degrees out here today. It says 86 on the dash, but this thing tends to read a little bit low. It's pretty hot out. If we were kind of let the car cool down a bit, get a nice morning where it's about 70 degrees, the fastest I've gotten was 5.7, and I did see a 5.5 once, but if I have to be really honest, it was a bit downhill, and I was able to hit 60 really easily in second gear going downhill. Right now 60 is kind of like right on the limiter of second gear, and you see there I had to shift into third, I think. We'll watch the video again, but I had to shift into third, I think, to get that final 60, which costs you a few tenths of a second, obviously. I'm not just going to go jamming it into third and, you know, what I guess would consider power shifting it. I shift quick, but I don't like to just jam gears around. That seems kind of abusive to what is a new car, ultimately. So that should be a pretty good idea for you guys about what the driving dynamics of the Veloster N are like, and kind of the differences between the modes. I really wanted to focus on the difference between the driving modes and sound and launch and stuff like that. Like the launch control is not, it doesn't do launch control. It won't activate in normal mode. You have to be in mode. It will activate in custom mode, but I don't like using that mode because that doesn't have the damper set stiff enough. So hopefully you guys can see kind of the difference in the sound of the car and the stiffness of the suspension and the weight of the steering and everything between the different modes. Driving this car, this is definitely a driver's car. You know, the cockpit and everything is set up for the driver. All the modes are set up for the driver. It's got more space in the front of the car than in the back, obviously. You can go see my interior review and exterior review if you want to kind of see all that. There's like a lumbar in the driver's seat, but not the passenger seat. So really, the car is really truly set up as a driver's car, and Hyundai nailed that. I've had my criticisms of the horsepower rating. I think they overrated the horsepower a little bit from the factory. The car is not making exactly the numbers on the dyno. If you guys want to go check that video out, do that as well. We got the dyno video. But there's nothing to criticize about this car whatsoever about how well it drives and performs around corners and how much fun it is to just toss around. The shifter is butter smooth. I've never missed a gear. I've never had it do anything weird on me. No grinding, nothing like that. The clutch is really stout, but it's got an easy pull or an easy push, easy travel. The engagement is really linear and kind of right in the middle of the pedal travel, so shifting gears isn't a chore. It's enjoyable. All of the different drive modes are awesome. How much flexibility this car has, as you guys saw when we go into the custom menu. You know, you can change your rev matching, your LSD, steering weight, traction control, all right here. You don't have to stop the car to do it. You can do it on the fly, which is really neat of Hyundai to include that ability, because you know a lot of cars now, they won't let you kind of do basically anything with the screen while you're in motion. But Hyundai, shout out to them for letting us kind of mess around there with all of our settings. Let's actually get back out on the highway here. So we'll see some G-force, the G-force meter here. If you guys can see that, actually, we can turn it on the dash. And as you guys can see, you can pull a pretty wacky amount of G-force in this thing. Without worrying about it at all. It is really hard to upset the balance of the car. Let's get the windows up. I'm sure you guys don't want to hear all that. So we'll chuck it into this corner here way faster than we should. you guys can see how rough this thing is in the full N mode. It's ridiculous. But holds pretty consistent. Oh God, pretty consistent G-force. I can't even talk. The seatbelt like bounced me in the stomach pretty hard. So in the full N mode, you can pull some pretty crazy G's with the active dampers turned all the way up to their maximum. We're actually going to put it back in custom. And breathe. Turn the AC on. So hopefully you can tell there just how rough that in custom mode was. I'm sure the camera was bouncing around on my head quite a bit. But you can also pull some crazy G-force. The grip in this thing is just nuts. Those Pirelli tires were a perfect choice for Hyundai. I'm probably going to put some Michelin Pilot Super Sports on after the Pirellis wear out, because I do slightly prefer the Michelins. They're a little bit quieter. But other than that, I mean, the grip from the Pirellis, the performance from the Pirellis is fantastic. Now we won't ding them too much because I like the performance of the tires, but I have 4,000 miles in the car, as you guys can see, and I have pretty much eaten through the entire front tires. We were down to the tread bars by about 4,000 miles. Now I drive the car really rough. The front tires have been on there for 4,000 miles, so I'm not that surprised or upset at all about the tire wear. That's more my fault for not rotating them properly and for driving like a maniac all the time. But I love the grip from the Pirellis. I just wasn't too happy about the highway noise. They are a little bit noisy on the highway, especially once I put the car in mode. Pretty much in normal mode. All you hear is the tires. With the exhaust and everything on, obviously, you can kind of hear the exhaust over everything else. But in normal mode, when I just want to cruise to wherever I'm going on a long drive or something, the tire roar is a little bit more than I like. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys noticed, I am getting more and more subscribers lately as I'm doing more videos with the N. If you guys watching wouldn't mind subscribing, that would help me out a lot. I'm actually at enough watch hours on my channel to get monetized, but I need 1,000 subscribers before I can get monetized. So anything you guys could do to subscribe and turn on that notification bell and watch, that will help me get monetized. That's the goal for this channel. And so I hope that you guys have appreciated the videos and the content I've been doing. If you want me to add anything in, or you want me to review any particular part of the car more in depth, I am more than happy to do so. Just leave me a comment down below in the comment section. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I hope everybody's having a fantastic weekend, and we will catch you guys hopefully in the next video I will get around to making on Wednesday. We'll do another POV driving video around Charlotte. I'm actually going to go out a little bit further down south, kind of South Charlotte, Ballantyne area, and do some filming down there. There's some really neat little kind of twisty city roads through some, you know, kind of quiet areas, not really much going on, not too many houses and stuff like that. Shouldn't be as much traffic. So hopefully you guys will be looking forward to that video. And thanks for watching, guys. Carolina Autos signing out.